There's a YouTube video about called something like Stars You Didn't Know Were Racist. And it's mostly about people from what would be called like the golden age of Hollywood, 30s, basically the 40s and 50s and that kind of era. And a lot of the people portrayed are people who were born basically when the 20th century got underway. And, they grew up in the 10s and 20s of the 20th century. And I already knew that several of them had made racist remarks. I was familiar with Jimmy Stewart's racist remarks and John Wayne's. I was also familiar with anti-Semitic remarks from Marlon Brando and especially from Henry Ford. It really kind of just proves that these were people. They weren't all, they were flawed, and they were to some degree products of their environment. Also, Walter Brennan. I think that he used to make campaigns for George Wallace, and he was quite racially prejudiced. Jimmy Stewart objected to a character being on the show who would be a black character and who might, give orders to a white character. These are the sort of attitudes that were very, very common in the early 20th century. All too common. So I would have been surprised if they couldn't find somebody who was racist. But they found quite a few people. They also mentioned Walt Disney in there and his, there's some controversy around it, but that he had bigotry against Jews and against other people. Also that he did not want to hire women in creative positions. I find that kind of bizarre because women are certainly at least as creative as men. But he was prejudiced on the gender level as well. Henry Ford would actually have people investigate the homes of his employees to make sure that the wife did not have a job outside the home. Now, to us, that sounds outrageous. But at the same time, what did it reflect? From his way of thinking, it was probably, he probably regarded it as oppressive to women to have to work outside the home since they were expected to do the work inside the home. And, I do, trying to look at it from his perspective, I still think it was wrong, obviously. But, we've got to expect that stars are human beings like everybody else, and they have flaws like everybody else. And they can be prejudiced. They can be bigoted. They can be racist and sexist and homophobes. And, it's no surprise to me. And I saw a comment that said, as a black man, I'd be surprised if you couldn't find anybody from that, if you could find anybody from that era who wasn't racist. Okay, just some thoughts.